Okay. Well, my name is Shannon, and I'm a community librarian at the Capilano branch of Edmonton Public Library. And I'm also on the school age services team at Edmonton Public Library. And that's a centralized group that works on developing programming and services for meeting the needs of kids that are from kindergarten to high school. And so last year, when the libraries temporarily closed, Edmonton Public Library started creating online content to connect with the kids and families. We had virtual story times, live classes, educational movies, and more. We learned a lot about creating these memorable experiences on a digital platform. So today in this session, I'm going to share some tips for taking traditionally in-person classes and events and putting them online with a special focus on literacy activities like accessing ebooks and how to read them engagingly to an online audience. I'll also discuss favorite tools for filming and editing and how to learn a bit more about these tools. So the presentation will wrap up with an overview of how to use some of EPL's virtual programming that we've already created in your own programs. So yeah, we've learned a lot from our foray into online programming and seeing that some people actually really like connecting with us online regardless of the pandemic. So this is something that we will likely continue doing even after we resume in-person programming. It's a great way to provide alternative ways to connect with your clients and your customers. So I look forward to hearing how other groups are either moving forward with online programming as part of their in-person programming. But I'm going to start my screen share here so that I can show the presentation. And I will go here and there. All right, so can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So again, if you'd like further information or would like to follow up, my email address is shannon.clark@epl.ca. And then the team address is schoolageservices@epl.ca. So I think we kind of don't have enough time maybe to go through this, but maybe think about in your mind what you're most looking forward to this summer now that some of the restrictions are lifting. And if your summer program will be in person, virtual, or a combination. So I thought if we were a small group and we had a lot of time, it might be fun to kind of have this discussion. So maybe we'll save it for the end if we have time to share some of this after the presentation.
Okay.
All right. And thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to Unjin for being the room monitor. And if you do have any questions as I'm going through, I really prefer to keep this really casual and to let you interject at any point in time. And Unjin will either verbally just say your question or we can stop and thank you. Okay, so just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. I'll share some tech tips for virtual programming. We'll learn about using ebooks in your program, as well as additional learning resources to enhance your virtual programming. And talk about summer starts at EPL. That's the library's summer programming and how you can use some of that virtual content. We have a really great lineup of special performers that you could add to your own programming this summer. And then we'll have time for questions and discussion. Again, I'd love to hear how other organizations are planning to do their programming, whether you'll keep a bit of virtual or do completely in person. You can use some of this information for adding to your current programming. So we'll get started right away here with talking about some tips for pre-recorded videos. So if you're doing any virtual programming, here are some things you may want to consider if you're pre-recording videos to share with your communities. So of course, we always like to plan ahead. If you plan ahead, you'll save a lot of time in the long run. Sometimes we're comfortable with ad-libbing a bit, and that's great, but you want to make sure you know ahead where you're going with your video. especially if you're going to be doing some editing, to plan it out at the beginning. That'll really help. So you're not searching through footage, trying to find a way to like piece it all together. So you have a path and you know exactly where you're going and what you need. If you're making multiple videos as part of a series for your program, it's good to have a consistent intro and outro. So that makes you look professional and organized. And it's also an opening opportunity to refer people to other things that you're doing, whether it's on your Facebook or your website. So we also want to make sure to welcome people as you would if you were in person, try to make that same connection. Sometimes with your pre-recorded videos or with ours at the library, we have attached like instructions or principal materials that we recommend people have ahead of time for the activity. And so you want to mention that in your intro. And we also have like, this summer, we're going to be doing some virtual programming where kids will come to the library and pick up a kit of material to have for that pre-recorded virtual. So it's always good to have that stuff on hand. And then also to have recommendations if you're doing a craft for things people may have at home that they can substitute or use for the activities. Some more tips for like setting up your pre-recorded videos. When you're filming, the first thing you really need to think about is what you're going to film on. What is your device? So if you have a phone that's from the last few years, it likely has a good camera and it'll work pretty well for filming. So you should usually make sure you're using the outside facing camera, not the selfie camera, and make sure that it has enough storage for your video. The outside facing camera just generally is able to provide a wider and better view. Ensure that the landscape mode is like it's sideways, and that way it is easier to edit and to modify that film. As for lighting, it's good to have natural but indirect lighting that's not too bright, but bright enough. So you don't want to have too many shadows to create a harsh contrast. This is one of the most important ones. Like I've done quite a bit of filming for school groups since we haven't had school tours in the library, and keeping the phone in a stable position is very helpful so that it's not shaky. So we've built things out of Lego. You can use a professional tripod or just stack up books and build some Lego to hold your video and make sure it's not shaky. And one of the trickiest things that I found is keeping the audio quality really high. So some of our staff have recorded videos using headphones and a microphone that's attached to the headphones, and that works great because the further you are away from the microphone, the more of a chance there is for sound to get muffled or to have echoes and other interferences. A lot of podcasters record in their closets because the things around them will kind of muffle. So you have to be careful about like big open echoey spaces as well. And then testing, like the best thing to do before you record like a 10-minute video of an awesome activity, you want to test to make sure that your voice sounds good and that the lighting is good before you invest so much time in getting that done. A few other tips to keep in mind. I always have to remind myself to slow down, and I'm sorry, like I tend to talk really fast. So when you are filming something to share with your clients or your community, you speak very slowly and clearly. And that way, if you're using a captioning add-on, it can help the software to interpret your words and make sure captioning is possible. You also want to make eye contact with the camera and be enthusiastic and animated. And sometimes it feels weird to be like above and beyond enthusiastic, but the more enthusiastic you are, like it never shows up on the camera as much as it feels in real life. So if you push yourself to be excited, you'll look like excited enough. So that's it kind of for recording. And now if we're going to talk about editing, basically if you're recording anything that's longer than a few minutes, you'll want to be able to edit that. And we use iMovie here at the library on Mac computers and iPads, but you can use VSDC, free video editor. There's a lot of different editing software for if you record a video on your phone or using any other equipment. And if you don't have access to this at your organization, Edmonton Public Library has 4 or 5 branches that have creative iMac computers that include iMovie, and we're here to support you. So if you want to make a tutorial video, like maybe Graham, you might want to make something showing people how to use that awesome resources website that ISA has. You can come into the library and do that here for free, and then upload it to your website or email it out to your community. And then the last thing about editing is audio. So sometimes when you're doing a tutorial or you're demonstrating something in a virtual program, the silence is peculiar. So having some free background music from YouTube, there's a lot that doesn't have copyright. And so it's really simple to add that in, whether you're using iMovie or another video editing software. So, and adding the audio after, it makes it nice and clear and good to listen to. I don't know if anyone's used Facebook Live for delivering programming to your communities, but that's how EPL, we first started adapting our Sing, Sign, Laugh, and Learn in our like early literacy programming using Facebook Live. So with Facebook Live, you're doing it live, but you can also record the video. And Facebook will record the video, but then if you want to download it again after, the quality is not so high. So it's best to run something like QuickTime in the background to record a higher quality of that video, and then you'll have it to share or to use and edit before posting it to Facebook for others to download. So when you're in Facebook Live, you click on live and then you get a preview of your video. And this is where you can kind of test to make sure all those things we talked about, that your lighting is good and that your audio is good, and then make any adjustments. And while you're in here, you can see the number of viewers, likes, and any comments as they are coming in. But with Facebook Live, you don't see the individuals' faces like we do here on Zoom. So, and there's also no limit to how many people can participate in any of your programming over Facebook Live. Similar with Zoom Live, it's another platform as we're all quite familiar with, as we're using it right now. And my kids are in Scouts and Guides, and they've used Zoom consistently for the past year with pretty good success, because it's easy to show lots of different material online and share screens and all of the rest of that. But later in the presentation, I'm going to give you some more tips for how to master some of these awesome tools. But today, like, we are very lucky to have a co-host, and if you anticipate a large audience for your program, you would likely want to have a co-host to support letting people in. What I found with my kids is none of the little kids put their mute on. So it's a cacophony of dogs barking, parents screaming, like kids, like it was like the co-host needs to be there to mute people or to be able to shut something down if kids are typing like poop or whatever in the chat, which they sometimes do. So that takes away some of the responsibility from the presenter to be monitoring all of that at once. You can also spotlight yourself, which is what we saw Sophia, and when anyone was speaking before, they had been pinned so that they're not in the gallery view. Sometimes in the gallery view, if someone's dog barks, then their face will show up, interrupting the main presenter. So Zoom has a lot of really good features to make it seem like a very professional delivered program. And then I struggled. I was doing some virtual programming for a seniors program, and I had a really awesome video I wanted to share of the log driver's waltz, and we were talking about the history of this NFB film, and it was so great. But when I opened my screen share in Zoom, I didn't have the button clicked for enabling the audio to play. So the video was showing, but the audio wasn't, and it was really frustrating. So you have to make sure that when you share your screen, that you've clicked those boxes to allow the audio and video to share using the computer audio rather than the, like my audio of speaking right now. So these are just, we like talk about Facebook Live, Zoom Live. We've there is some technical stuff to know, but what we really want to get to is the idea about reading with your kids and literacy and how to use some of these tools to promote this kind of activity within your summer program. So reading with the kids, I have found, even like with virtual programming, it's calming and it's relaxing and really a great way to start the day or to take a lunch break. And the added bonus, if your kids in your program sign up for the library summer reading club, if you read to them as part of your program, they can count that time toward their 6 hours of reading and for awesome prizes. And I'll talk a bit about summer reading club a little bit later. But like in this picture, we have one of my librarian colleagues this is a video that's on our EPL page. And she read the book, like she was working from home and reading the book, holding it, which is great. Not everybody has a full bookshelf of kids' books with them. And maybe the books that you have that you want to share with your group don't fit the theme you're working on. So maybe you're working on like a pride theme or talking about Ramadan, or you want to incorporate a specific book. Using the library, you can search for those books on that theme and then share it with your community or your clients over any of these platforms that we just talked about. So I talk about using ebooks because if I'm holding a book here, I don't know, I'm here in the closet, so I can grab a book here and I'm gonna hold it. And it's hard to see, it's hard to make sure the picture is in the frame. But with ebooks, you share your screen and you see exactly the way the book is digitally. So if anyone isn't familiar with how to do this, or maybe you need some tips about how to choose a good book on a good theme that your kids are gonna like, then we have lots of book lists and recommendations on our website, epl.ca/kids, which you can check out later. But, the other thing I need to let you know, if you want to download and share ebooks through your programming, you need to have a library card, an EPL membership. So if you don't have that, the first step is to go to epl.ca/membership, and you can sign up online for a free library card. And with that free library card, you can access the ebooks and then a bunch of other digital content I'm going to talk about today. So to get to this, we go to epl.ca and then to the blue tab that says digital content. And digital content means anything, whether it's music, videos, ebooks, audiobooks, all that stuff is under digital content. And then we click on read. So from here, you'll have a big list of all the vendors that the library subscribes to for reading books online. Everything from magazines and newspapers to interactive books for kids, picture books, young adult books, everything is on here. But one of my favorites is called Overdrive. And I'm sure some of you have heard of Overdrive, or maybe you have the Libby app on your phone. But Overdrive is great because it has a really big selection of books and a really good kids section. So from here, if you click on Overdrive, it'll prompt you to enter your library card number and PIN. And then you'll get to this page, which is the Overdrive homepage. There is a button for kids. So when you're browsing, you want to make sure that you go into this kids section. And then you'll see they always have a section at the top of like timely, topical books, depending on what time of year it is. And so we have, right now, there's a section for Kids Pride. Indigenous History Month also has a section of great stuff on there. So these are all of the places where you're going to find these books that you can read over your virtual program to the kids that you're working with. But you'll notice here, on the top of each title, there's an orange bar, and some of them say available, and then some of them say wait list. So ebooks that are on Overdrive are treated like physical books. So like this is a physical book, we have it as an ebook as well, but it's only able to be checked out by one person at a time. So if we have one copy of the ebook, one person can read it at a time, and you have to sign it out. So if you're looking for something to do right now, anything that says available is good to go. If it's checked out to another customer, you can click place a hold, and then you'll be on the wait list and you'll have an email come to you when that book is ready for you. So if it's a very specific book, or a student maybe mentions they are really interested in reading like together, maybe they want to have a book club as part of your program, we can help you with that, but you can also go on here and get that book to share with everybody. So yes, here's the arrow pointing to when it says it's available, or if you have to go on a wait list. And then once you click on the book that you want and you see that it is available, there's a big orange borrow button. And one thing to mention up here, I don't know, if you can see my mouse showing around, but in the upper right corner, it says under format, Overdrive reads, right in that top corner. That means that you can read this book right in your browser. And that really helps when we're ready to share the screen so that it's open and we share that book with the kids that we're connecting with. Most books in Overdrive do have this feature, but some of them don't. So this one, it says PDF ebook in the top corner. So this one you'd have to read on an app like Libby or Adobe Digital. So for your purposes, if you are doing virtual programming, you are connecting with kids online, it's easiest if you can find one that is available to read through the browser. So once you've checked it out, you'll see this nice success. Woohoo! You can now read the book in your browser. So you click on that big orange button, and you can also get to reading it in the browser by going to your account, clicking on loans, and then you'll see everything you've borrowed. You can borrow up to 30 titles a month, and they'll all be showing up in here, and then you click on it when you're ready to open it up. So here I am, I've opened it up. Well, this is just a screenshot. I will do a live demonstration of this after if there's interest in that. And then you just use the arrows to flip back and forth with the pages. It's quite intuitive, or use your mouse to click on the page to go through the book. And most of the picture books, you'll want to see both pages at once. So there's a little circle at the top that will show two sides at the same time on the screen. And then if you click back to the center of the book, you can bring up like the page numbers and then some other little scrolly thing. So you can skip very far ahead if it's a super long book, or if you're bookmarking it, or maybe you want to take the whole summer to read out loud a book to the group, maybe one chapter a day. So then you would bookmark it and resume each time. And then the little menu up here, we are familiar with these three lines, is the horizontal line menu. This will bring up more options like jumping chapters or finding your reading settings if you want to make the text bigger or spaced out more. So that's kind of just a quick look at what it looks like to see an ebook online. Another way to find them, like say you're doing maybe a unit on jump rope, or maybe like something outside in nature, or you're going to go looking for worms, something like that, and you want to have a literacy tie-in, you can type in the keyword, whether it's animals or worms, whatever, or a specific title that you know. You can type that into the catalog search box, and then you'll go to that book in our catalog. You can click decide under format to ebook, and that will only show you ebooks, because if you're doing virtual programming, or maybe you're going to read the book with the kids the day before they come to go out and dig for worms, or any it's very flexible to adapt to the way you are programming. So then you can look for ebooks and then go to your account if you want to and see what you have checked out. And this shows everything that you've got checked out, whether it's an ebook or a paper book, and then how to read it now in your browser, and or you can download it if you want to keep it on your phone. So if you're doing online programming and you want to share the book with participants, just like I'm doing right now, you use the screen share button on Zoom or on Google Classroom or on whatever platform you're using, Microsoft Teams, whatever it is that your organization uses. And then you pick which screen you're going to share. Or you can, if you're reading it in the browser, you would just choose that Chrome browser to show the book. And then for you, it would show this bar at the top of all the different options as a presenter. And some cool stuff is, as a presenter, you have access to extra controls like annotating. And that means you can draw on the book. You can circle words. You can kind of point, like if you're asking the kids to, what do you see in the picture? You could highlight or interact with the text in a way that you can't really do in person. So there is some advantage to reading in this way. And then when you're finished, you just hit the stop share button and you're back to seeing it from the audience perspective. You can also record these items, but we caution against recording, like reading books out loud, unless you've cleared it with the publisher or the author ahead of time. Yeah, same with Google Meet. It's basically the same as Zoom with all the features that you have. So I don't know what everyone's experience is with using these platforms, but this time last year, I had been laid off and I hadn't ever used any of these things, and I didn't learn how to use them until fairly recently. So I found it very helpful to go take some online courses. And there is a huge amount of free online courses that you can access through EPL. Normally, like you could sign up for LinkedIn Learning. It used to be lynda.com independently, and you'd have to pay a monthly subscription fee. But with your library card, you can access LinkedIn Learning for free. And they have sessions on like anything from like creative video editing to using Zoom and like basically whatever you want. So it's a premium resource and I highly recommend checking it out. So to get to LinkedIn Learning, maybe you do want to learn more about Google Meet, or maybe you're going to start working with schools more intensely, and Edmonton Catholic uses Microsoft Teams, Edmonton Public uses Google Meet, and if you want to familiarize with those platforms before you're working with the schools, because we still don't know if schools will be having what that kind of organizational programming will be in the fall, but we may still be doing this. It's also pretty efficient. Like I used to have to load up and get in my car and drive to schools all around my catchment to do presentations, but now I can do it virtually. And though it's not the same relationship and connection, it is extremely efficient and we can reach more people. But sorry, back to what we were talking about here. You go to epl.ca/resources, and then there's a big LinkedIn Learning button. You just have to put in your library card number and PIN, and then you can get lots of great videos. Like there's short tidbit videos and long courses that you can take on anything from learning Zoom. And you can see on the side, there's all these different modules for really specific stuff if you want to go in depth. Google Meet Essential Training, Google Classroom, delivering video to Facebook Live. That was a challenging thing for me because I don't have Facebook, so I'm not even familiar with Facebook, but this kind of goes over all the specific stuff that you're going to need when you start doing this kind of programming. And then YouTube, like even if you are completely back to in-person training, like there may be stuff that you want to work with your group on to put on YouTube and make tutorials, that kind of thing. So, and also your organization may be interested in social media marketing and promoting yourself, advertising on Facebook. There's a lot of really powerful training on here that can help your organization, maybe beyond your position, to kind of reach more youth and connect better in this online world, like in a post-COVID world, just because as everyone kind of talked about, the silver linings, like we have learned so much, and this new learning, though we return to in-person programming, the new learning can help us on that way. So that's basically a lot about like the virtual learning tools, but say maybe you are going to be doing in-person classes or more virtual, and you want to lead an awesome, fun art class or get more ideas for craft, or how are you going to really boost your programming either virtually or in person. So we have at EPL something called Creative Bug, which is an educational resource that focuses on arts and crafts. And the videos are produced by artists and creative experts with have a lot of proven teaching techniques. They have a lifetime of practice, and there's over 5,000 class offerings on here, everything from like macrame, watercolor painting, and each class that's freely available on Creative Bug includes like the downloadable patterns, templates, and recipes. And then it's just a great way to get ideas for awesome activities to do with youth, whether you are going to watch this ahead of time, then learn the activity and then do it with your program, or if you're online, everybody can follow along and do it at the same time. And it can be like, there's a huge menu of activities on here, and it's all really high quality, well-produced content. So a bit of a step up from like doing a YouTube search for how to make this or that craft. It's something definitely worth trying out. So the last few things I want to talk about is our EPL does have a YouTube channel, and we really kind of got this off the ground last March when we first closed with tutorials about how to access a lot of the databases that we have and a lot of the tech stuff that we have. So there's some tutorials on our YouTube. It's youtube.com/user/EdmontonPL. And here's some of our elder in residence videos. And then there's some classes for kids that we have all stored on here. If you're working with older kids, your best bet is probably to go to our kids page. And then there's a full section of videos on there that link to our YouTube that are around like different STEAM-based activities, stories, a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll show you that in a minute as well. So one more way to engage with EPL over the summer is, as I mentioned at the very beginning, participating in our summer reading club. And I have just a few of the little things with me now, but if we are open, like libraries are now open. You can bring your group if you are in person to the library to pick up a registration pack. It's like the stickers and the booklets and the reading tracking sheets and activity packs. And then you can help the students or the youth that you're working with to connect with the library online, to do lots of different activities, watch presentations and programs, but also this program is a way to help minimize summer learning loss by motivating kids to read, learn, and explore when they're not in school. So the best way to kind of showcase this is to go to our website, epl.ca/summer starts, to kind of get an idea of what's available on there. But from here, you'll find our calendar, and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 o'clock, we'll have either live or recorded content. One that I'm really looking forward to is Notorious Cree talking about and demonstrating flute and hoop dance. That's already coming up on Tuesday. But there's a whole bunch of live and recorded content that like the youth in your group can interact with. And we've got like everything from like happy parrots, talk like someone with birds doing tricks. Like it's going to be quite a lot of interesting stuff. So I cruised through this pretty quick. So we have some time for questions, and I have some time to demonstrate the way that you would go ahead to our website to get that ebook, and I can show an example of one. I just want to take a brief moment to pause and find out if anyone does have any questions or anything you'd like me to go back to, or if you want to let me know if you're doing any virtual programming this summer, and if you need any support with that, or if you're going to fully in person. Maybe it would be interesting to find out if any groups will continue with your virtual programming even after you're back to in person, or if you'll do a combination. So if anyone would like to ask a question or let me know how you're doing, I would love to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, for sure. I just wanted to mention that I use EPL website, their digital content a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For my virtual programs. I particularly really like that they give us subscriptions to websites. For one, there's Bookflix, which is very cool, and for younger ages. It's all under their resources. So I use Bookflix, and as well, because a lot of our programs are very academic. I mean, they're as much as possible trying to help kids with academics. So we use BrainFuse, and that one's a bit tricky to navigate. That one's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky to navigate, but if you do navigate it, you will find a lot of content and multiple choice questions that you can share. If you share a tab, you know, Another thing, I can speak a lot to Google Meet. I've basically used that platform alone during the whole pandemic, and the way it syncs with Classroom, and the way you can just share tabs inside the Google Chrome browser. It's just it really just works for me. So I would share tabs based on, like, I also like to splurge and purchase websites to IXL if I'm doing if I'm doing online programs about.
Yeah, I've heard about IXL, and we were thinking like that might be a good one for the library to subscribe to as well, because I know some schools do have it, but it's not like universally available, and that it is really good. We have like for math, IXL math, we don't have, but I took a look at it, and a lot of the other math things like slice fractions and tumble math does cover Alberta curriculum content in the same way, but IXL Math just seems really like a user-friendly, great platform. But thank you for supporting that, Graham. I appreciate your that you are using these things, but also that you're advocating on our behalf for the use of this with youth in our communities.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just show. Oh, sorry.
Well, just one more trick. I don't know if anybody here has like a phone, like a smartphone, but you see a smartphone and I see a webcam and also another recording device. So, and also the main thing about this trick is also what's been sustaining me, because I need to let kids see the big whiteboard behind me. And so I need to bring a camera up there really close. And I don't have a camera. I just have this phone, but it has this, the thing you stick on the back, you know, the thing, and that's a hook, and you can just hook that onto the music stand over there. I don't know if you have a music stand, and then boom, you have a camera.
Tripod.
You log into a Google Meet meeting that you establish. Just click on that Google Meet with this camera, and you're in there with another account, and you can actually use your same Google account. So they will allow you to log in with multiple devices to your Google Meet, and you can choose to stay in with your account or log in with another meeting. So it will appear as two separate people, and what you will have is just another video source and another audio source. So, and one that you can very easily move around.
Wow. That's a great tip. So it's like you're in two places at once.
Yeah. And I just hooked it up there. I can't show you because I'm not in the Google Meet right now.
Right.
And you can't just log in with that.
Like if you had a book and you wanted to show the book, you could attach the phone to the tripod or to the music stand, put the book in front, and then still be on the other side showing a website or talking or using the whiteboard features.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
And
you're a pro, Graham.
Yeah. And another thing is that Google Classrooms, they've really worked out really well. But the trick is that you can't access the students can't access them with their school Gmail accounts. So it involves just involving the parents, and you get a cool insight when the parents join your Google Classroom on behalf of their kids, and they let their kids engage with that, and there's that extra supervision and knowledge and engagement of the parents. So I definitely just going that way. Just go with the parent emails and getting them involved in whatever platform you have. So that's one thing.
Yeah, that's really good. So for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with this as Graham is, I have a few minutes that I can do just a quick overview, like head over to the library website and share my screen there. And then you may have some time before your programming starts to take a look at some of the things that I have talked about. Sign up for a library card and then see where you go. And feel free, like get in touch with Graham or me or anybody, because we're here to help and we really want to help with that. So I'm going to show you now the library website, epl.ca. And there was a slide in the PowerPoint presentation about this, but it's easier to actually see it happen here. So you see there's this big digital content tab. And what Graham was talking about, like Bookflix, Tumble Books, all that math stuff and all that, it's all here on kids' online resources under digital content. And this is organized from A to Z. Bookflix is amazing. It also, for kids like who like to be entertained, like there's some videos and then there's also some nonfiction books, but as the text is read, the words are highlighted in some of them, so you can really work on those literacy pieces. BrainFuse has live tutoring as well. So if anybody needs support beyond what you're able to offer, they can connect with a fully qualified free tutor over BrainFuse to work on that. And with older youth, it's helpful too, because then BrainFuse has employment support, like it can help people with their resumes, it'll edit anything. And then all of these Muzzy language learning is awesome. If kids are learning, like learning English, this is like a game for that. And then here's Overdrive, which I was talking about for sharing the ebooks. And then there's math ones. Solero is connected to the Alberta curriculum. It's just, there's a whole lot of stuff on here that I don't even know everything about. So you kind of find your favorites and stick to it. But with Overdrive, this is what you kind of saw in the presentation. And I'll just really quickly show you. So for example, Julianne is a mermaid. This is a really great book for gender identity. A nice simple story. So I just click here. It's super simple. Just follow the orange buttons and you just click through. And then you can see I'm already sharing my screen. So everybody can, I actually read this one a while ago. So I'm going to show you, like, you go back to this little thing to show the 2 pages. This menu bar will take you back to the beginning or to a certain page. And then you can just scroll through. It's a very charming story about a boy who loves mermaids, and his abuela takes him to a mermaid parade and encourages him to explore his love of dress up and imagination. Like, it's a really sweet story. But as you're reading it, you can also be talking to the kids, like I'm talking to you, and say, is Julianne imagining this, or is he really surrounded by mermaids? Or are these people who are playing in the fire hydrant, are they people or are they mermaids? Let's go back and see. Okay, he's got an imagination. And then his abuela goes into the bath and he decides he's going to become a mermaid. And then at the end, it's a beautiful, sweet story. He's worried she's going to be mad at him, but then she gives him her pearls and takes him downtown to watch mermaid parade. And it's just a really, so like sometimes you just stumble across these really sweet stories when you explore in Overdrive this, what we call the hero spot, or the books that are featured this month. So then you can see, like, you're logged in right now, you can go to your loans to view it online, and then you can share. So it's super simple. It's gotten a lot easier than it used to be. Like, you used to have a Kobo and plug it in with a cord and download and all this coding and stuff. And now it's like really just click and go and super simple. So that's the ebook piece. And then, as we mentioned before, all of the summer, like the summer reading club stuff is super exciting. I'm down to my last like 3 minutes here. So if you write anything down, note epl.ca/summer starts. And this is where you can find our calendars, but we're encouraging groups who work with youth to sign the whole group up, and you can connect with your local library to have the sign up kits with the reading logs and the prizes. You can work with them to bring that to your group. There's also like bingo sheet of ideas for reading. We're trying to promote reading picture books that have a more diverse cast of characters and different topics that are relevant to the times, and trying to really like help kids to see themselves in the books that they read. So we have this bingo sheet. If you read a straight line, then you get a free prize. There's just a ton of really, really great stuff to browse through here, but the virtual programming part of it, maybe you don't have the budget to pull together like a really big event with with filming and all of that. And that's okay, because what you create is meaningful for your audience and your community that you're connecting with. But if you want to add some sparkle and feature these like crazy talking parrots and dancing birds, then you know that you can do this through the library. Anyways, I'm out of time. So I thank everyone for coming to this session. I encourage you all to browse through epl.ca, particularly the services for kids, depending on the age group, whether it's teens or kids of these ages, and check out the learning and digital content stuff. And let me know if you have any questions. All right, well, it's 3:15, so we're gonna get bumped back into the into the main group. But thank you guys.
Thank you, Shannon.
I wish you all the best with your summer, with your programming. Like, it's really exciting. We're kind of on the verge of like some really exciting times.
Right.
So, yeah, I am looking forward to it.
Thank you, Shannon. A lot of good information, exciting information. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.